Paying for college can be costly and confusing. The road to financial aid usually begins with what's called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA. It helps determine which federal grants and loans a student qualifies for, and schools use the information on the form to make their financial aid decisions. Now, after years of delays, a new version of the form is to be released at the end of the month. And while it promises increased access to financial aid, the delays are likely to put universities and students in a bind, giving them less time to crunch the numbers and comb over the details of financial aid packages. Danielle Douglas Gabriel covers the economics and finances of higher education for the Washington Post. Danielle, what are the big changes in this form, the most significant changes, and why are they being made?
So there are a lot of really important changes to this form. One being fewer questions. Instead of 106, they're down to 36 questions, which is great for families. Also, there are far more people who will qualify for the maximum amount of the Pell Grant Award. This is a form of federal aid that goes to low and middle income students. Now, instead of only a few million being able to qualify for the max, another 1.5 million students will get the full max, which at this year stands at over $7,000. And then also, it'll be a whole lot easier for families to get their financial information from the IRS automatically populated onto the FAFSA form, which also really saves you time, skip a bunch of questions, make the whole process go by a lot faster.
Bringing out this new form, revising the form, why has this taken so long?
Well, the education department says that it has been a monumental undertaking. I think they've used that exact phrase several times in talking to them. And in part because you have to overhaul the existing systems that haven't been updated for 30, 40 years in some instances. They have to meet new security standards set by the IRS to make sure that information that they're populating onto the form is secure. All of these moving parts and pieces are happening at the same time as the department has a laundry list of policy projects to try to get done, including making it easier for public servants to get loan forgiveness, to make it easier for people who have been paying back their loans for 20, 25 years to get some loan forgiveness as well, in addition to lots of other policy priorities. And there are only but so many people at the department, and they're all working on all these very important policies. So as a result, the department says there has been some delays.
This is a whole new system. It's going to be brand new. Are there advocates for students or for financial aid who worry that there are going to be some glitches, unforeseen problems that'll screw up the whole process?
I mean, that's always a possibility when you are standing up a new system and when you're making such big changes to an existing system. I think right now a lot of advocates are more concerned with what the delays will mean for students and their families in terms of making informed decisions about financial aid and where to attend college. As you remember, John, this form not only is used by the federal government to determine aid, but also states to determine state aid for college students, as well as the schools of which they attend. So all of those pieces have to come together in order for families to figure out they can afford to go to college.
And it's becoming available sort of in the middle of the college application process. It used to be available at the beginning in October. What effect does that delay have?
So the issue here is for a lot of the states that rely on the FAFSA to make their student aid determinations. Some states have those forms out in January. Some states have them out at the end of December. So having delays on the federal end could delay students' ability to take advantage of state aid. And without the federal government saying, hey, states, we're a little bit behind. Can you please cut students a little slack? I think a lot of advocates are worried that students may miss out on aid that they otherwise would have qualified for because so many instances it's first come, first serve. And if there's a delay on one end, then it kind of sets everything else back.
One of the other changes I understand they wanted to make was to adjust the numbers automatically in the form to consider for inflation. But that hasn't worked out quite as well, has it?
Not exactly. So one of the components of the two laws that Congress passed in order to make all of these changes possible was that there'd be a greater amount of income protection. So for parents, an increase of 20%, students, an increase of 35%, and students who have children on their own, an increase of 60% of your income would be protected in the formula. In addition to that protection, all of that would be adjusted for inflation. Now, the department accidentally forgot to input that inflation adjustment. And it happened to be at one of the periods of the highest level of inflation, the inflation records that we haven't seen for generations. So as a result of that, it creates an artificially high calculation of what people should be paying or what they actually should receive in federal student aid and state and institutional aid. So that's a huge concern. The department says they're aware of it. They're going to fix it for the next cycle. But for this upcoming cycle, the 24-25 academic year, there are a lot of students who may not get as much aid as they are actually entitled to.
This is, as we've been talking, a very complicated, very complex process, sort of daunting for parents and students to go through. What advice do you have for parents and students who are doing this perhaps for the first time?
Don't be frightened. I have to say this form is a lot simpler and a lot easier to access than when I filled it out many, many moons ago. And I think that's a great thing, right? It's a lot shorter, it's a lot more intuitive, and it should be really helpful for parents to get through this with ease. I would also advise to get it done as quickly as you can. Again, a lot of states are first come, first serve with their scholarships and grants. A lot of institutions, in some instances, also think about it in that way. But all that really matters is getting the form filled out. And don't think because you're a upper middle income family that you shouldn't fill it out. There is aid available for everyone, and it's not just need-based aid for this. It's also merit-based in some instances. So please make sure to take advantage of this form in order to get as much money as your student could qualify for.
Good advice from Danielle Douglas Gabriel of the Washington Post. Thank you very much.
Thank you.